Hare Krishna, peace is my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. So thank you for joining this Wednesday evening on our ongoing discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhakti Vaibhav. We'll resume from first canto, chapter 7, verse 20. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Udhirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhagavatir Naishtiki. 1720. Athopaspashaya salilam sandade tat samahitah ajananapi samaram pranakricha upasthitehe. Since his life was in danger, he touched water in sanctity and concentrating upon chanting of the hymns for throwing nuclear weapons, although he did not know how to withdraw such weapons. So the he is Ashwathama, and the context is that Ashwathama, after killing the 5 sons of the Pandavas and pretty much most of the remaining Pandava army, he killed Drishtadyumna, Shikhandi, Uttamayajus, Yudhanas, most of the Panchals that were left, most of the Matsyas that were left, and then he went away. After visiting Duryodhan, witnessing Duryodhan's death, he went away, and then based on not entirely, but to a large extent based on Draupadi's anguish, Arjun makes this promise to her that he will come back with the head of Ashwathama, and he said that you will take a bath standing on his head, and then after that only will you do the final funeral rites for your sons. So saying this, he armed himself with his armor and furious weapons. He got onto the chariot. Krishna got on as the chariot driver and started chasing Ashwathama. Then Ashwathama, in a distance, he sees the chariot of Krishna and Arjun approaching him. So the verse begins with Ataha, and Ataha means thus. So thus is used to indicate a logical conclusion. Something like it did not rain, thus it will be dry. There is too much water, thus it will be wet. So thus is the logical conclusion that Ashwathama has now reached. So he is seeing 2 things happening. He is seeing that Arjun's chariot is approaching him very quickly. And his own horses are tiring. So one thing he concludes is that it's just a matter of time that Arjun is going to catch up with him. The second thing, which is more implicit, is he is scared to fight with Arjun. So Ashwathama himself is a great warrior, but he knows his strength, he knows his weaknesses, and also that of his opponent. So he knows that he's no match for Arjun. So based on these two facts, that Arjun is going to catch up with him and Arjun will defeat him, what does he do? He considers the situation as prana krichra upasthite. So pran krichra means he considers the situation to be life-threatening. So he's as a warrior, he understands that for what he has done, the only suitable punishment is death. So he considers pran krichra, that Arjun will kill him, and upasthite, which is that if one's life is in danger, then one is allowed to take extraordinary measures. So he says, because prana krachra, because my life is in danger, upasthite means that given the dire situation, there is no other law that actually governs me. The only law that is valid over here is that of survival. So to protect himself, he throws the Brahmastra. The verse briefly talks about the process of casting astras. So what does Ashwathama do? Upasparshaya. So upasparshaya, upa means close and sparshya means touch. So he touches water. Salilam is touches water for sandhade, for purification. Sandhade means chanting the appropriate mantras with samahitam. So samahita in the verses translates to with concentration. So with full concentration. So it is a conjugate of the word samadhi, samahita, that with full concentration, after touching the water for purification, he is sandhade. He is chanting the mantras. Samahita can also be broken down into samahita. So sama means for everybody and hita means benefit. So one of the reasons that the yogis perform tapasyas or concentration is for samahita, is for the benefit of mankind in general. Vishwamitra, he performed meditation for so many thousands of years, and what did he get as a result of it? He got the Gayatri Mantra. And he gave the Gayatri Mantra to everybody for the benefit. And we see other examples of sages who, when properly situated, perform samahita, perform this meditation to benefit everybody. In this context, samahita can also be translated to ahita. So previously we had seen that when it comes in front of a word, it negates it. So sama is everybody, ahita means is not beneficial, which is a more relevant meaning in this context. Sutta Goswami is saying that Ashwathama, he is doing this for sama ahita, that is going to be not beneficial for everybody, including himself, that he wants to harm by the chanting, so what he's going to do is cast the Brahmastra, which will harm him and everybody else. And even more critical, Sutta Goswami is saying that Ashwathama is ajanan, that he is ignorant about samaharam. Samaharam means withdrawing. So he's casting the weapon without knowledge of withdrawing. And one of the rules of one deploying an astra is that one should always be in a position to withdraw it if needed. So Dronacharya actually was reluctant to give Ashwathama the Brahmastra because he didn't consider him qualified. But because of fatherly affection, he did give him But he didn't teach him the art of withdrawing it. He taught Arjun that art, but not Ashwatthama. And then in his mind, he thought that since he doesn't know how to withdraw it, he will not use it. But again, Ashwatthama in his mind, he considers pranakrit shopasthite. He considers that because his life is in danger, the ordinary rules and regulations don't apply. so, so even though it's samahita, even though it is unbeneficial to everybody, he still casts the Brahmastra. Another way to understand Ajanan Samaharam is that Ashwatthama does not know how to withdraw. So not just in the context of the Brahmastra, but even in the context of this engagement, that sometimes people, they are also obstinate that they will continue pursuing something even though it is harmful to them and harmful to others. And we see that in Ashwatthama, that the battle of Kurukshetra has been fought, the Kurus have lost it, but Ashwatthama is still persisting. He went and he killed the remaining Pandavas, Pandav warriors, and now that he is seeing imminent death, he is still persisting. So he just does not know when to. So the quality of a dhira and the quality of a vira is that they know when to fight and when to withdraw. And Sudha Goswami is criticizing that he does not know this. He is ajanan about samaran. In a lecture, Srila Prabhupada says, talks about this phrase, Atho Sparshya Salilam. This mantra weapon is so strong that it can be manufactured simply by touching water with mantra. You must be expert in chanting mantra. So if we actually chant the Hare Krishna mantra properly without any offense, then once chanting is sufficient to make you free from the reactions of all sinful life. Samahita, completely in trance. So here Samahita is beneficial to everybody. This is the process. So these things are required. How to become Samahita, Samadhi Sthita, in trance. Okay. Any questions, comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I have one question on the previous class actually, or couple of classes ago. I emailed you, I'm not sure if you got it, but I'll just ask here. So in 174, I think 174 to 179, these verses, are these called Bija verses? Did I get that right? Or seed verses? Something like that.
174 to 177. So they are the four verses. So I did answer your question. I think last week you were not there in the lecture, so I answered the question in the lecture actually.
I was there, but I don't.
I guess I didn't address it well enough. So these four verses are, in a way, these are basically people who have studied the Bhagavatam deeply and meditated upon it. They consider it to represent the essence of the Bhagavatam. They carry the message of them. So they are not formally declared as one way or the other. Like even in Bhagavad Gita 10.8 to 10.11, considered to be the Chaturshloki, it's not formally declared that Krishna said, now I will speak the Chaturshloki. But when the acharyas read it, they understand that these verses encapsulate the essence of the message. And in the Bhagavatam, we have previously discussed that there are almost, I think, 12 sets of verses that are considered to represent the essence of the Bhagavatam. And one of that 12 is these four verses that represent the trance of Vyasadeva, his realizations in the trance.
So Prabhuji, 12 verses. Sorry, I didn't understand. So
No,
what?
not 12 verses. There are 12 different sets of verses
Oh, okay.
that are considered to encapsulate the essence of the Bhagavatam. For instance, the first three verses, 1.1.1 to 1.1.3, they are considered to be the essence of the Bhagavatam. Then 1 to 10, which has the 10 subjects of the Bhagavatam, that is considered to be the essence. Then 1.3.27, that is the Mukhya Paribhash Sutra, that is considered to be the essence. Then there are 4 seed verses that appear. I forget the number. Again, first canto. Uh, uh, they will appear later on in the first canto. I forget the numbers, but they are considered to be the essence. These 4 verses that describe the 174 to 7, they are considered. So in this way, there are like almost 12 different sets of verses that are considered to um, encapsulate the message of the Bhagavad.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, and what I'll do is I have your email. I think in my notes I have these 12 sets of, what are the verses and what do they contain. So I'll send that.
That'll be great, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
I'll send it to Prem Kishore Prabhu also, and Prabhu, if you want to distribute it, you can distribute it.
Okay, Prabhu.
Thank you. Anything else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, here is Sarangadas, some obeisances.
Haribol Sharan Prabhu.
Just when you were talking about Ashwatthama could not retract the Brahmastra, I was thinking also about Abhimanyu. He went into the chakra view and he knew how to get in, but he could not get out.
Right. And slightly different motivation. Abhimanyu went to protect his army, and I guess Ashwatthama went casted to protect himself. But yeah, similar situation.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Okay, next verse, 1721. तथा प्रादुष्कृतं तेजा प्रचण्डं सर्वतो दिशं प्राणपादम् अभिप्रेक्ष्य Vishnum Jishnuruvachaha. Thereupon, a glaring light spread in all directions. It was so fierce that Arjun thought his own life in danger. And so he began to address Lord Shri Krishna. So tataha, thereafter, so implies right after the Brahmastra had been cast by Ashwatthama. So the previous verse ended with Ashwatthama touching the water for purification and casting the Brahmastra. In the Mahabharata, he actually takes a blade of grass and then he imbues it with mantra and releases it as a Brahmastra. So small difference in details. And here he casts, he touches water to purify, and just by the mantra he casts the Brahmastra. And tatha means right after that Brahmastra was cast, it was perceived by Arjun as Taja Prachandam, fierce light, and Pradushkritam. Pradushkritam means all around, disseminated, Sarvatahat Nisham, in all places of the directions. Jiva Goswami in Krama Sandarbha, he says Sarvatahat Nisham should be understood as in all places of the directions, which means that it wasn't coming as a streak of light or like an arrow, but the effect of Brahmastra was all pervasive. And Sutta that's why uses Sarvata Disham. So what does he do? So he began to address Krishna, Vishnum Jishnur Uvachacha. So these two verses, they show the difference between Ashwathama and Arjun. So both of them are in the same situation. When Ashwathama saw that his life was in danger, what does he do? He casts the Brahmastra. So he neglects the scriptures, considering that my life is in danger. So uh, uh, no rules and regulations apply, and he casts the Brahmastra, knowing that it is sama ahitam, that it is unbeneficial to everybody. Now Arjun is in the same situation, that he's seeing this taja prachandam. He's seeing this fierce life, sarvata disham, coming in all directions. But what does he do? He turns to Krishna. So he's also in the situation of Sutta Goswami specifically used the word prana apadam. Prana apadam means that he's thinking that he might die. And he reacts in a way that is different from Ashwathama. So previously Ashwathama was called Asharanam, that he had no shelter. So he was simply taking shelter of his material senses and intelligence. And Arjun was fully protected under Krishna's shelter. So that is how a devotee deals with protection. That regardless of the situation, the devotee takes shelter of the personality of Godhead. So Sutta Goswami, he says Vishnu Jishnu Ruvachacha. So he addresses Arjun as Jishnu. And Jishnu means unconquerable. So the point that Sutta is making is that Arjun is competent to take care of the Brahmastra coming towards him. It's not that he's weak or frail, so he's taking shelter of Krishna is not a sign of his helplessness, but it's a sign of his devotion to Krishna. So as devotees, we come across situations sometimes where we say, okay, we can handle it ourselves. And then we basically take shelter of our own ego. And when we feel helpless, then we say, okay, now Krishna, you come in and help us. Which is not really bad, as long as we are somehow going to Krishna. But Arjuna is Jishnu. He's unconquerable. But even then, right away, he turns to Krishna. Yeah. So those were the main points in this verse. We'll go to the next verse, but see if there is any discussion on this.
Prabhuji, one question. So, I'm just tying it to Bhagavad Gita verse, I think chapter 13, where we understand that there are 5 causes, and one of them, 5 causes for anything, right? So but then we need to work, and then towards the end the results will depend on Krishna. Basically we should try our best, I think the environment, those 5 things,
the doer,
yeah,
result, the activity,
right,
the time, yeah.
So basically, yeah. So then why didn't Arjuna try his?
He does. So we'll see in the verse that Arjun is taking shelter of Krishna as a sign of faith. So this interaction is very indicative of a relationship between devotee and the personality of Godhead. He is not turning to Krishna as an order supplier or saying take care of it. because Krishna will instruct him to do something and Arjun will do it. He's not delegating to Krishna, but he's turning to Krishna because of this sense of this is where my shelter lies. So the question that you're asking is very appropriate, because that is the message that comes through this interaction between Arjun and Krishna. That taking shelter of the personality of Godhead does not mean that you give up your own smartha. You give up your own ability. Taking shelter does not mean that you cross your hands, you put up your feet, and say that, okay, Krishna, I've taken your shelter, now take care of everything. But taking shelter means that now I am ready to execute your instructions, whatever they are, to the best of my ability. So that's the essential message that will come through this set of verses.
Okay, and Proji, one more thing. So, like, I mean, we don't really have Lord Krishna in person with us in like that we can turn to and ask, like, when we are in doubt or difficulties. So, I mean, taking shelter. So here, like for us, in like practical application of this particular section would be like taking shelter of other devotees, senior devotees, turning.
Right. So taking shelter is so this is a question that is often asked, that Arjun had Krishna right next to him in the chariot, so he had the advantage. In the Bhagavad Gita, when he felt bewildered, then he turned to Krishna. And one of the more interesting answers I've heard to this is that we are better off than Arjun, because Arjun just had Krishna to talk to. We have Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So we have more places to go to. So we have a, and Guru of course means gurus. Gurus means, our Diksha and Shiksha Guru. Sadhu means devotees, as you are indicating. Shastra means scriptures. So when we are in trouble, when we are uncertain, we have more places to take shelter.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, is that Leela Manjari?
Vilasa Manjari Mataji.
Vilas Manjari. Okay. Haribol Vilas Manjari.
Haribol Prabhuji. I'm not sure if I'm going off topic. I just want to ask, you said that like either we take shelter of our ego and then it doesn't work, and then we take shelter of Krishna. How do we measure that I'm taking shelter of ego in given circumstances?
Okay, thank you. It's a practical question. So Rampal Maharaj once was asked this question and gives a very good answer, that when you take shelter of your ego, you will find yourself going away from Krishna and his devotees. When you take shelter of Krishna, the opposite will happen. So sometimes it is difficult to, because there is so many intricacies, etc. involved, it's difficult for us to ascertain ourselves. Like it's said, right, that the eye cannot see itself because we are in the middle of everything. So we take the we take the symptoms, and then based on that we try and understand what is our activity. So we do a particular activity, and we see that it is in accordance to Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. We see that it is actually bringing us closer to Krishna. And Krishna always is used as in plural. So when we say bring us closer to Krishna, it means that we are able to chant better rounds. We read the scriptures with a clearer understanding. We develop more affection for devotees. So that way we know that we are getting closer to Krishna. So then we know that we are acting according to Krishna's desire, as opposed to our ego, which will have the opposite effect. It will leave us dissatisfied. It will reduce our taste for chanting. It will impinge our relationship with the devotees. So we'll see all those appearing symptomatically.
Thank you, Prabhuji. It's very nice explanation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Nice question. Okay, 1722. Arjun Vacha Krishna Krishna Mahabhavo Bhakta Nam Abhayankara Tvam Ek Dhayamananam Apavargo Asi Samsrita. Arjun said, "O my Lord Shri Krishna, you are the almighty personality of Godhead. There is no limit to your different energies. Therefore, only you are competent to instill fearlessness in the hearts of your devotees. Everyone in the flame of material miseries can find the path of liberation in you only." So this interaction is a demonstration to us by Arjun of how to take shelter of Krishna. So Arjun is standing and there is a Brahmastra approaching him. And he's seeing this intense light surrounding him in all directions, and death is imminent. So when he turns to Krishna, does he ask for anything? No. He turns to Krishna and begins to glorify him. He says, "Krishna Krishna Mahabhavo Bhakta Nam Abhiyankara." And Tameka Dayama Nanam Apargo Asi Samsprita. So now Arjun, of course, is human. And we see that he is also agitated because there is this Brahmastra coming. The most powerful weapon in the universe is coming at him. So in his agitation, he repeats Krishna's name 3 times. He says, "Krishna Krishna Mahabhavo." So Krishna is standing right next to him. So it's not that he's repeating for getting Krishna's attention. Krishna is occupied somewhere else, or Krishna is not able to hear him. But it is out of his agitation that he says, "Krishna Krishna Mahabhavo." If you look at the translation, Srila Prabhupada, he translates each of these 3 names differently. So first, Krishna, he says, "O my Lord, Sri Krishna." The second Krishna he translates as, "You are the almighty personality of Godhead." And the third name, Mahabhavo, which actually means one with mighty arms, he translates to, "There is no limit to your different energies." So how do we understand this? Why is Srila Prabhupada translating Krishna Krishna? Krishna is the same. Why is he translating it? It's slightly different. So one way to understand it is by following an implicit conversation that happens between Krishna and Arjun. So the Brahmastra is coming and Arjun turns to Krishna and says, "Krishna, there is this invincible Brahmastra coming towards me. You are the protector of everyone. Please protect me." Krishna says, "How can you say I provide protection? I did not protect Duryodhan from Bhim. I did not protect Kamsa, Jarasandh, Shishupal, and so many others." And Arjun says, "True, but they were not your devotees. Here I am talking about Bhaktana, your devotees. Thus, you are addressed as, 'O my Lord, Sri Krishna.'" So that is the first translation that Srila Prabhupada uses, "O my Lord." So this is Arjun invoking the Bhakta Vatsalya mood of Krishna. That you are always alert to protect your devotees. And then Arjun says that you actually give them more than protection. You make them fearless. Abhayankar. So there is a subtle difference between protection and fearlessness. So protection, and this is the word used by Queen Kunti in her prayers, Abhirakshita, which is protection, and Abhayankar is fearlessness. So protection is external and fearlessness is internal. The protection lasts as long as the protector is there. The fearlessness will last regardless of what the circumstances is. So an example is given is that there is a small child that is scared of a ferocious dog. And so the child is standing there shivering in fear, and then the child's father comes. And the father picks up the child in his lap, and then he walks. The dog is still there, and the child is now, he is not concerned now because he's in the arms of his father. But next time, if the father was not there, the child will still be scared of the dog. So the fear of the dog is not gone, but the protection is giving temporary relief from the fear. But supposing the father, he trains the child, and he says that these dogs, if you look them in the eye, they get scared or pretend to act in a way that you're indifferent to them, and then the fear of dogs goes away in the child. So then later on, whether the father is there or not, the child is not going to be concerned about the dog because there is no fear. So Arjun here, he's saying Abhyankar. So he's saying that I'm not even asking for protection. I'm asking for fearlessness. So Krishna responds by saying that making someone fearless is impossible. And the reason Krishna would say is he would quote Hitopdesh, verse 25, Ahar Nidra Bhaya Maitunam Cha, Samanya Mehta Pashubhi Naranam. That eating, sleeping, sex, and defense, these four principles are common to both human beings and animals. So it is said that the fear of these four things, Ahar Nidra Bhaya Maitunam, Bhaya is the root of everything. That out of fear of death, one eats. Out of fear of exhaustion, one sleeps. Out of fear of annihilation of one's identity, one procreates. So Krishna says this fear is so intrinsic to one's existence. How can you expect me to remove it? So then Arjun says that is true, but you can do it because you are the almighty personality of Godhead. So that's the second Krishna that is used. So Arjun is saying that making somebody Abhay is impossible for the ordinary person. But you are Krishna. You are the almighty personality of Godhead. You can give Abhay Dan. So Krishna says that, but I did not protect your son Abhimanyu, nor did I protect your 5 Upapandavas, nor did I protect Bhishma, nor did I protect my Narayani Sena, or so many of the warriors that were killed in the war. And even now, you're standing next to me and you're feeling unprotected. So then Arjun says, Mahabhavu, that there is no limit to your different energies. So the reason that Arjun uses this, or Srila Prabhupada translates Mahabhavu to your different energies, is to imply that Krishna's protection comes in many forms. So Mahabhavu means mighty arms. Mahabhavu also means many arms. So So Krishna has infinite numbers of arms, Mahabhahu, and his protection comes in infinite numbers of ways. So with Arjun, his Leela Shakti is in play. When the warriors in the battle of Kurukshetra was killed, then Krishna's Kripa Shakti was in play. Because, as we had discussed earlier, they achieved Sarupi Mukti. So one could say that they were unprotected, but ultimately they were protected. The demons that were killed by Krishna, Krishna's Dushta Daman Shakti was in play. And they achieved Sayuji Mukti. Then by his Maya Shakti, Krishna is purifying the jivas through the cycle of karma. By his Palan Shakti, Krishna is giving jivas the opportunity to make spiritual advancement. So Krishna's protection comes based on what we need, not based on what we want. So a person may turn to Krishna and say, protect me and do X, Y, and Z for me. Krishna's protection might still come, but it may be A, B, and C. And that's why Arjun says Mahabhav, that you may say that you did not protect Bhishma, but actually Bhishma was protected by you, because when he was about to give up his body, you came right in front of him. You may say that the soldiers in the battle of Kurukshetra were unprotected by you, but they were protected, because when they died, they saw your face and they went back to go look. So we see this different nuances of protection of Krishna with Parikshit. When Parikshit Maharaj was in the womb of his mother Uttara, and this is something that will follow, so it's not that I'm giving up a secret, because everybody knows the pastime. Krishna will protect Parikshit Maharaj from the Brahmastra of Ashwatthama. But later on, when the same Parikshit Maharaj is cursed by a Brahman, Krishna does not protect him. Now in both the cases, the Brahmanas are Brahmabandhus. Both the cases, the Brahmanas are unqualified. In both the cases, the punishment was unwarranted. But in one case, Krishna protects Parikshit by giving him his life back. And in the other case, he protects Parikshit by allowing him to die. So that is Krishna Mahabhav. So from this interpolated conversation, we can understand that what Arjuna is saying is that Krishna, oh my Lord Krishna, my protector, Krishna, you are the almighty personality of Godhead. You are the supreme Lord who can protect. Mahabhavu, there is no limit to the ways that you can protect. So this also gives us appreciation for Srila Prabhupada's depth in translations. Sometimes we look at the word-to-word translation and we see that it does not match, and we think that Srila Prabhupada, is just using poetic liberty, but actually he is not. He's looking at the much deeper meanings that are being expressed by the acharyas, and he's conveyed that to us. So Arjun concludes the glorification of Krishna by saying, Tvam eka dayamananam pargo asi samsrita. That Tvam eko, that only you, asi, that only you are one who can daya manana, that who can alleviate our sufferings and from the material miseries, samsrita upavargo. So he's saying that Tvameko, and Tvameko indicates Arjun's mood of exclusive surrender to Krishna. So clearly Arjun has attentively heard the Bhagavad Gita, because Krishna ends the Bhagavad Gita was saying Maam ekam sharanam braj, and Arjun says Tvameko, that only you can provide the kind of protection that is complete. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, he summarizes, he's saying that Arjuna is saying to Krishna, you're the form of material liberation. So why not deliver me from this fire of the Brahmastra? So in this verse, Arjuna is facing the fire of the Brahmastra. In reality, the jivas are facing a much more insidious fire, which is known as Samasar Vishanale. Samasar Vishanale, Prabhupada says, is fire that comes from poison. So it is much more insidious. And Prabhupada in the purport he says, material existence is something like a blazing fire in the forest, which can be extinguished by the mercy of Lord Shri Krishna. The spiritual master is the mercy representation of the Lord. Therefore, a person burning in the flames of material existence may receive the rains of mercy of the Lord through the transparent medium of the self-realized spiritual master. The spiritual master, by his words, can penetrate into the hearts of the suffering person and inject knowledge transcendental, which alone can extinguish the fire of material existence. So Prabhupada is in the purport, he draws this analogy of Arjun facing the Brahmastra and turning to Krishna for shelter, of the jivas facing the even more insidious fire of material existence. And so this was a question Achyuta asked, that if Krishna is not there, who do we turn to? And Prabhupada says that by the mercy of the spiritual master. So this purport, these sentences are actually almost a word-to-word translation of a very famous verse. Does anybody know which verse it is?
From Bhagavad Gita?
It's not from Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavatam?
No, it's not from Bhagavatam. It's in a prayer.
Oh, Cheto,
Samsara Davana, last verse.
Yes, the first verse in
Yeah,
the Guru Ashtakam, Sansara Dhava Naranira Loka. So Prabhupada has translated it almost word to word here. Material existence is like the blazing fire in the forest, which can be extinguished.
I was remembering the same prayer when you were explaining. I thought you were actually explaining that prayer only.
Yes. Prabhupada does not make a quote to it, but it is a translation of. He translates that, and it's very appropriate. Like the fire of material existence, like the Brahmastra, and the shelter of Krishna, the same as the shelter of the Guru.
even Cheto Darpana, imagine Bhava Mahadava.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing is that Prabhupada's purport has a lot of focus on the spiritual master. The Cheto Darpan would actually be appropriate in terms of the other shelter that we have, which is of the holy name. Okay. Questions, comments?
Yes, Praji. Like you were reading about this Krishna, the 3 times when what the word Arjuna is addressing Krishna, and the first one you were translating it as protection, for protection, and then but before that you mentioned that Arjuna is not approaching Krishna for protection. Really, he was, he was basically praising. So that is how we should approach. We should not. We should basically approach for. We should praise the Lord and. But then.
And Arjun so Arjun is not saying Krishna protect me. Arjun is saying Krishna, you are the greatest of the protectors. Now, his focus, of course, Krishna has many qualities. So Arjun is not saying that you're the best of the dancer or you're the most beautiful. His focus is on that particular quality that is most relevant to him. And of course, he will be more explicit later on. But it's not demanding of Krishna to do something. We see something similar in the Bhagavatam. You will see that whenever the devas, they go to Shudakshay Vishnu, and when they are in anxiety because of some demon, but they don't ask directly of Lord Vishnu. They'll first chant the Pushpa Shukta prayers. After that, they will continue to glorify Krishna. In some cases, they won't even ask anything, and then Krishna will speak, saying that I know why you are here, and do not worry, I will take care of things. In some cases, they will say that we are in a lot of anxiety. Please protect us. So it's not that we are not supposed to ask Krishna for protection, because Mahamekam Sharanam Braj, Krishna is giving us that latitude. When we are taking shelter of Krishna, one aspect of the shelter is to feel fully protected with Krishna. But that protection is in the context of a relationship that we have. And Arjun is basically focusing first on the relationship. When he says Krishna Krishna Mahabhavo, Bhakta Nam, Abhiyankara. So he's glorifying Krishna, and in this exchange, he still does not ask for protection. He asks for guidance. But for us, it is okay. It is okay to ask for protection. But again, the mood of protection is in the context of a more a more comprehensive understanding of the relationship.
And Pruji, where is that interaction? Like, I mean, or is that translated by somebody else? Because I didn't see the word protection in the translation or purport.
No, the word that Arjun says is Abhayankar. So Abhayankar is making fearless. So in the interaction, we see that Arjun is not really asking for protection. He's asking for more than that. He's saying that you are capable to instill fearlessness in your devotees.
And where was that interaction, Pruji? Like, was it given by somebody like some acharya, or was it like?
So yes. So I would not say acharya, but I think different commentators and different sadhus, when they comment on the verse, they speak based on their realization. And then I particularly liked it because it also substantiates Srila Prabhupada's the way that Srila Prabhupada has translated this verse.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Actually, you explained that when Arjuna took shelter of Krishna or surrendered to Krishna, it's not that he crossed his hands and did nothing. He used his skills. He had his skills and he used them, and with those skills he took shelter of Krishna and surrendered to Krishna. So does that mean we should also whatever inclinations and skills we have materially or spiritually, we should keep them active and sharp so that whenever it's required they can be engaged in Krishna service?
Yes, I think it was Hidanand Maharaj or maybe Prabhupada who made the statement that so Prabhupada at one point said that a disciple should act like a fool in front of the spiritual master. And then somebody asked the question, and the answer was that what it means is that you do not surrender your intelligence. You surrender with your intelligence. So each one of us has some propensity, some ability, and surrender means that we ask, how best can this be used in the service of Krishna? And in fact, when it is connected to Krishna, then actually we it becomes all the more a focus of our attention. We actually focus more on it. Even though the ability may be apparently material, as somebody might sing, but then when they start singing kirtan, then they will practice even more, because they know that by their singing, other devotees might get inspired. Or somebody may know how to cook, or somebody may may be good at convincing other people, and their material abilities in themselves. But when it gets connected to Krishna, then the devotee actually hones them even more so, because now they're connected to something that is even far more superior.
But not everything can be connected to Krishna, right, Prabhuji? For example, we work, my Prabhu works, or you work, like, so all this, what you do at office, that cannot be Krishnaized, right? That is the
It can be.
concept.
It can be. It can be. I mean, at a very fundamental level, there is, what is called as Dravya Shuddhi. So it can be connected to Krishna through that. When Prabhupada, this is very early days in '66, Prabhupada was on 26th 2nd Avenue, and he had a small group of people coming to his Matchless Gifts preaching center. So there was not much money there. There was only one person who was earning, and that was Satsarup Maharaj. He was working as a custom officer in the New York ports, and he came to Prabhupada and he said, "My work is really demoniac. I deal with people who are, I guess, the people who come on ships and ports and all that, sailors and all that." He said they're foul-mouthed, they're all drunkards and addicts, and I want to give up all this. I just want to come and sit and chant Hare Krishna here. And Satsaru Maharaj was making $650 a month, which he would give completely to supporting the temple. And then Prabhupada said that whatever you're doing over there is at the same level as sitting in the temple and chanting. Of course, he said, if that's what you want to do, you can do. But even the work that you're doing is at the same level, because you're using the proceeds in the service of Krishna.
So that's one way, like donating to whatever we earn, offer the results to Krishna.
Yeah, Dravya Shuddhi is one way. Preaching is another way. Maharaj gives the example that you can do what he calls as underground preaching. He says, you have a picture of Krishna in your room, and at workplace, of course, you can't like preach explicitly, but people come to your office, they look at the picture. There is some amount of sukriti. It is agyat, but there is some sukriti there. Or you can put a poster of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Maharaj says that there are so many wonderful screensavers of different Krishna's pastimes. Somebody may ask that, hey, what is this? And you can give you an opportunity to preach. And if all that is not possible, then just by you being there, that is just a couple of weeks ago, I was I sometimes carpool. I was carpooling with a friend of mine who's Korean, and very, very bright person, and he kind of taking advantage of the fact that I'm from India, and so he started studying up on the side on Hindu religion. And then one day, I'm carpooling with him, and then he says, who is this Krishna person? And then I said, okay, we have 1 hour to drive. So, so I have 1 hour to talk to you about Krishna. And of course, I lost him after the first 10 minutes. But, at least he heard Krishna a few times. Next day he came to me and he said who is the bigger boss, Krishna or Vishnu? So it was kind of interesting that, and again, this person is, of course, he's pursuing the path of intellect. He just wants to know more. But at least, he said Krishna, he said Vishnu. He got an opportunity to talk about Krishna. So we never know, but we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to preach. And then at the end of the day, we always act as per our adhikar. So in an absolute sense, I think what you're getting at is correct. That yes, we can give up our work. We can go and reside at a holy place. We can practice Madhukari or Ajgarkari, depend on Krishna. We can chant like Haridas Thakur, and we can perfect our lives. But are we at that stage? Is that our adhikar right now? Do we have that kind of dependence on Krishna? Do we have that kind of detachment from our family? Do we have that kind of control on our senses? So if the answer is yes, 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 then yes, that is the way for us. And there are people who do that. There are people who came in contact with Srila Prabhupada and did that. They gave up their jobs, they gave up their family, they surrendered to Krishna. And there are people who could not do it. So part of making progress in a spiritual endeavor is understanding your adhikar, understanding where you are, and then basically acting as per that adhikar.
Beautiful, Prabhu. Thank you. It was very helpful.
Thank you, Mataji. Nice question. Okay, 1723. Tamadaya purusa shakshad ishvara prakrite parah mayam yudasya chit shaktya kevalya stita atmani. You are the original personality of Godhead who expands himself all over the creations and is transcendental to material energy. You have cast away the effects of the material energy by dint of a spiritual potency. You are always situated in eternal bliss and transcendental knowledge. So, in the previous verse, Arjuna had spoken that the situation of the jiva is one of being in fear, and the need to protect their existence is one of the core governing principles of the material life. They had referred to that, not directly, but indirectly, that every living entity is afraid. Everyone lacks the sense of security. And then Arjun boldly says that only Krishna, you can instill Abhayankar. Only you can make one Abhay, fearlessness. So then somebody might ask, why only Krishna? So in this verse, Arjun is answering that question. Let me tell you, what are the qualifications of Krishna, because of which I am saying that Krishna is the Eko. He is the only one who can instill Abhayankar, who can instill that fearlessness. So in his commentary, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he again uses the same technique. He says that let us assume that there is an interplay of a conversation between Krishna and Arjun. So Arjun is, in the previous verse, said, Krishna, you can instill fearlessness in your devotee. And then Krishna says, I'm your cousin and equal to you. Don't speak to me like that. Arjun says, no, you just appear to be my equal. Actually, you are Prakriti Para. First quality that Arjuna is calling out in this verse that you're Prakriti Para, that you are beyond Prakriti. So Krishna says, by Prakriti, do you mean ignorance or do you mean Maya? So Arjuna says, both. You have distanced yourself from Maya, composed of both Vidya and Avidya. This Maya is unfortunate since it is your external Shakti, but you are situated in your spiritual form, along with your auspicious Chit Shakti arising from your Swarup, who is like your principal queen. So Krishna is now teasing Arjuna. He says, but since I am the cause of the spiritual energy, I am different from it. How can it be situated in my form? And Arjuna says, no, it is Kevalya. It is one with you. So Krishna again asks, how can that be possible? So Arjuna then answers, though it is with you, it is also one with you, because it is your Swarup Shakti. Factually, you are situated in spiritual form. This Chit Shakti, your Swarup Shakti, is always non-different from you and is situated in your body, in your senses, and in your associates. So now Krishna continues to tease Arjuna. He says that, but if you apply the same logic to me, then in the context of my Maya Shakti, you should say that I'm situated in Maya. Because Arjuna just said that because the Chit Shakti is the cause of is coming from your Swarup, you are situated in your spiritual energy. So Krishna is saying that, but then Maya is also coming from me, then you can say that I'm situated in Maya. So Arjuna says Maya is different from you. Yet it is somewhat non-different from you, being your Shakti. However, the idea that Maya is your only Shakti is rejected. The Shruti says, Parasya Shaktir Vidivaiva Shruyate Swabhavika Jnanabal Kriyacha. The Lord has numerous energies called knowledge, strength, and action. Maya is only a shadow and remains in the form of the material world composed of the three gunas of knowledge and ignorance, because it does not arise from your Swarup. Therefore, Maya is different from you. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he brings forth this conversation to further explain that the 3 points that Arjuna is making in this verse. So Arjuna is putting Krishna in the position of one who can free the other person from the ropes of fear. So the 3 conditions that need to be met for that to happen is, 1, the person needs to be free himself. 2, the person should have the ability to free the other person. And 3, the person should have the desire to free the other person. So if you see that if somebody is bound and then you are also bound, then there's no way you can help the other person. So that's one condition, that firstly you should be free. Prabhupada says, how can a drowning person save another drowning person? They'll just drown quicker together. So that's why Arjuna says that one is that the person should be free. Second is the person should have the ability to free. So let's assume you're free, but the other person is tied with so many chains and locks and different kind of handcuffs, then there's nothing you can do. You can pull the chain or you can try and hack the locks, but if you cannot free the other person, then you're useless to the person. So the other person should have the ability to free. And the third is that even if the first 2 conditions are met and you're free, you have the ability to free, but then you look at the other person and say, nah, I have no desire to free this person. And then you walk away. So from that personal perspective, again, there is no relief that can come from you. So in this verse, Arjun, he is making these points that only Krishna satisfies these 3 conditions. So first he calls Krishna as Ishvara Prakriti. So Ishvara Prakriti is Krishna as the Paramatma. So as the Paramatma, he has expanded himself all over the material creation. What does that mean? That we are in the material world and Krishna is there right next to us. So we cannot feel Krishna's absence. The Krishna is there in Golok Vrindavan, millions and billions of miles away. As Paramatma, he is present right with us in this material world and in our very heart. So Jiva Goswami gives Vishwanath Chakra. No, this is actually Jiva Goswami in the Kram Sandarbha. He gives the reference, and I'm not going to go into it because both these verses are very technical, and the acharyas have spoken extensively about it. But I think, in the interest of time, so the reference that they give is Jiva Goswami gives is 324:33 of the Bhagavatam. Then you can look it up. Then Arjun says, so this point indicates that Krishna has the ability to free the jiva because he is present right next to him. Then the next 3 points in the verse, they point to the fact that Krishna is himself free. So Arjun says, Mayam Vyudasya, that you have thrown aside the effects of the material energy. So those handcuffs that are binding us, Krishna has thrown them aside. Mayam Vyudasya. So he is not bound like we are. The reference to this is Bhagavatam 11:9, verses 17 and 18. Second point that Arjun makes is that even though closely associated with Krishna, with Maya as Ishwar, he is exclusively situated, sthita, in his own energy, Atmani. So the point somebody can make is that because Krishna is so eager to be there with you, he has come down into the material world and he has himself become contaminated by the material world, which impinges on his ability to protect you. And this is something that actually people do say. They say that when the Brahman comes in contact with Prakriti, then the avatars happen. So they say Krishna is God who has come under the influence of the 3 modes of material nature. And Arjun here is specifically saying that even though Krishna is closely situated with Maya, but he's always exclusively Sthita Atmani Chit Shaktiya, that he is situated in his own energy of transcendental knowledge. And Jiva Goswami gives the reference of Bhagavatam 6:933 and Bhagavatam 3:26:3. So Arjuna is therefore assuring everyone that the close association of Krishna with Maya does not contaminate him. So he says that Krishna is Adaya Purusha. So Adaya means the original, the original person. Purusha means male, means enjoyer, and Arjuna is using this in the context of Maya, who is considered to be female or enjoyed, or he calls Krishna Ishvara Prakriti, that you are the Lord of Prakriti. So Maya is Prakriti, and then you are the Lord of Prakriti. So not only is Krishna not affected by Maya, Krishna is actually the controller of Maya. So there is no question of Krishna being influenced by Maya. So these 4 points in the verse are made to demonstrate the fact that Krishna is free and he has the ability to free. But what about the third point? That does Krishna have the desire to free? So Arjun says, Tvam Adaya Purusha, that you are the original person. So Arjun is saying that Krishna does not need anything. So one who is original means that he predates everything. So he was there when nothing was there, which means that he really does not need anything. But yet, Krishna is doing everything because of his causeless mercy. So that points to the desire of Krishna. So the desire of Krishna does not come out of necessity, it does not come out of greed, but it comes out of his mercy. But regardless of where it comes from, the desire is there. So in this verse, Arjuna is making the point that Krishna has a desire to save the jiva. He is qualified to save the jiva, and he has the ability to save the jiva. Therefore, Krishna is the only one who is worthy of taking shelter. Okay. Yeah. So I think I'll stop over here and see if there are any questions or comments. If not for this particular set of verses, if there are any other questions from the previous discussions?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Sorry, this might not be directly related to what you spoke, but I've had this question for some time. I've heard somewhere that Ashwatthama would be the next, he would take up the next position of Lord Brahma somewhere. Is that right?
He would take up the next position of Vyasadeva.
Vyasadeva, okay. Sorry. So that's like a significant position. And then, in this instance where he attacks the sons of Draupadi, and the next chapter, he attempts the same thing with Uttara. So how can we understand that such a person is qualified to take up, that position?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's definitely related. There's actually a discussion on this a little later on. So Ashwatthama is a partial incarnation of Lord Shiva, and he's obviously a great personality. So if you look at the qualifications of Ashwatthama, he's a Chiranjeevi. So Chiranjeevi means that, deathless, not immortal, but deathless. Prabhupada would say, meaning that an extraordinary long lifespan. There are just 7 Chiranjeevis, and Ashwatthama is one of them. So he's an exalted company there. Like the other Chiranjeevis are Kripacharya, Hanuman, Vibhishan. I'm probably missing somebody somewhere. But there are 7 Chiranjeevis. All 7 are Bali Maharaj. All 7 are great personalities. So he's a partial incarnation of Lord Shiva. He's a Chiranjeevi. He has great credentials in terms of lineage. His father is Dronacharya, and Dronacharya is a partial incarnation of Brahaspati, himself a great person. Received a lot of benedictions. So because of various reasons, according to some, because of the influence of the association of Duryodhan, because of some that because he ate the grains that were given to him by Duryodhan, his mind is temporarily contaminated, and he's acting in a way that is abominable. So what happens? Because of this, he's cursed. He's cursed by Krishna. He is completely defeated. He is insulted. He's treated like an animal. His money is taken from his forehead. Krishna curses him there for 3,000 years. you will live in extreme pain, you will not be able to associate with anybody. So that is his purification. So we talked about how Krishna's mercy comes in so many ways. That is Krishna's mercy. That he's done a lot of abominable activities, but he also goes through extreme purification. So he has great credentials, he's a great personality, he goes through a lot of purification. And he has, by the time the next Vyasadeva appears, it's going to be a few million years. So he has a long time to basically, and that's what it is said Ashwatthama is doing now, that he's performing intense austerities to purify himself and to reach to the point that he becomes qualified to take the position of Srila Vyasadeva. So this pastime also indicates, if you read 1.5.19, where Krishna talks about the position of his devotee who has fallen. And very similar to the verse in the 9th chapter where Apichet Suraj Prabhajte Mamaja, where Krishna says that even one who has done the most abominable activities is if they're properly situated, they will be reinstated. So Ashwatthama is actually a demonstration of that principle of two things. One is that Krishna's devotee is never vanquished, and second is that Krishna's mercy never actually goes away. So Ashwatthama, in a way, as you were saying, has done so many things that Shishuha, that he's killer of children. As a Kshatriya, he attacked sleeping warriors. So all the possible rules of Brahma and Kshatriya conduct he has broken, let alone devotee conduct. But yet Krishna's mercy is there. But he avails himself of that mercy, and that's how he gets to a position that is even more exalted than what was when he started off.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you. Good question. Anything else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
So just quick question, how do we differentiate, like as you mentioned, when we have difficulties in our life, do we see that as Krishna's mercy, or is it just our karma that we go through different situations?
We see it as both. We see it as Krishna using our karma to provide us his mercy. Prabhupada says, and Rampal Maharaj also says, that Krishna uses our karma to purify us. So one of the examples that he gives is that if because of the force of your karma, there is a certain reaction that is coming to you, then Krishna will use a small token of that reaction to do two things: to extinguish that karma that you had earned in the past, and more importantly, to give you realizations. So when a devotee is facing adversities, one of the biggest takeaway of the devotee is realizations. How do I use it to increase my dependence on Krishna? How do I use this to understand that how tenuous is our dependence on the material energy? What is it that I can do to distance myself from one and become more attracted to the other? So while there is suffering that is going on, unquestionably because of our karma, but because it is being filtered by Krishna, it is also giving us opportunities for spiritual advancements. And the prayers of Queen Kunti are ideal example of that. That the trials and tribulations she goes through, we are not at the level to make those kinds of prayers, but yes, her realizations are very relevant. The trials and tribulations that she's going through, she understands that as long as she can use them to increase her dependence on Krishna, they're glorious. So we may not be at that level where we are aspiring to see the glory of our suffering, but we can definitely be at that level where when the suffering comes on its own, we try to discern that how is this helping us make spiritual advancements.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Okay, so if there are no more questions, I'll end over here. Thank you very much. Vancha kalpatarubhayascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrind ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Gaur Prem.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.